Hello and welcome to Trowbridge Museum. We recently challenged each other to choose a favourite object or display in the museum. Join us as we explore the gallery and explain our choices. Also, enjoy a sneak peek into our store to see what happens to the collection when it's not so visible to the public.
I love clothes, who doesn't? And we've got some lovely pieces in the costume collection here at the museum. And our case here sort of reflects people's stories, as well as it shows the progression of the silhouettes, particularly for women. Because if you start over here, we've got this beautiful wedding dress that has a fabulous story about how it came into the collection. A family, an older family, they were local, I believe they now live in Canada, found it in the attic and then uncovered their relation's story, and it's so perfectly preserved and very, very beautiful. It's lovely silk, and it shows all this sort of mid-Victorian detail on it, the tassels and the fancy little sleeves, and so tiny little waisters, and the person would have needed to have been corseted. So it's just a beautiful, beautiful example there, any standard anywhere. And then we've got the freedom and movement, more of an empire line little underdress there, which women must have enjoyed feeling a lot freer. And here again, we've got a more sort of Edwardian type outfit. Again, tiny little lady, it must have been. Beautiful silk, and it just looks so pretty and dapper. I absolutely love it. You can just imagine a lady walking down the street with her parasol, going out to tea or something. It's really lovely. But these are stunning. So we've got some flapper dresses here, so 1920s dresses. Absolutely beautiful. We've had both of these conserved. Been very lucky. We applied for a grant and got a grant to restore them. So they're just so glittery and glamorous. And we believe they belong to people in Trowbridge. So we like to think of people having a party and really enjoying their time out with their gentlemen. And we have a gentleman's suit here to show how they would have dressed. And of course, as history progresses and things happen, we've got a representation of the armed forces there as well, with a female officer's outfit. And then this little fun one right on the end here, out of the Weetabix box. Now you've done 6 of these. It's a little paper frock, so it's just a little record of the time, how attitudes to clothing have changed, experimentation with different materials, and I fancy opening up the cereal and getting a dress out of it. How fabulous would that be?
This is my favourite object. It's the teasel gig. I picked it because it's instrumental in what made West of England cloth so important, so expensive, so valuable, because it used to brush the cloth. So that's one reason why I picked it. The other reason, I quite like it. It's a sort of mix of technology, at least technology for the time, and these funny little sort of dried seabeds, so little natural things. And it's this mix I quite like, and also the fact that because they needed lots of teasel heads, they needed it to create a whole sort of agricultural industry in growing teasel heads there in Somerset. And also they even used to import them from France. So Trowbridge had an international reach, I suppose you could say, with its woolen industry. So that's my favourite object.
We are essentially a weaving museum, and we tell the story of West of England woolen cloth, and this is a really nice area where you can see how that process was carried out 1,000 years ago, and then up to much more modern times with a mechanised loom. So we start with a warp-weighted loom. Really basic technology, but could produce such quite complicated and beautiful patterns of cloth, considering it's so simple. So a Saxon weaver, for example, would have hung the warp threads down and then weighted them at the bottom with the weights. Then there would have been just a very simple process of weaving in and out, really classic process to make the weft threads. So the warp-weighted loom would have carried people through the industry right until about the 13th century, when you'd have something called the upright loom or the horizontal loom that would, you can see it's quite a lot more mechanised than the Saxon loom or the warp-weighted loom. The weaver would have sat in front of it and controlled it through pedals. It's a much quicker way, a more efficient way, and also allows you to make even more interesting and complicated patterns. And then this could also have been done in someone's cottage or in someone's dwelling. They would have had this set up and this would have been their bread and butter. And I love how this is essentially the same technology as the warp-weighted loom, does the same job, but obviously looks very different and can produce cloth at a very different pace, but it's just essentially doing the same thing. And power looms first appeared in 1784, and then once they were in factories, as we all know, that technology overtook the hand looms, and it wasn't too long before weaving transformed from being a small cottage industry in your home to being a factory-based profession, and a very different way to earn your living, you could say. So yeah, I love the way we've got this display all in a row, and you can really visually see the changes over 1,000 years.
So I thought I'd bring you into the store so you can see what happens to the collection when it's not out on display. Most of our collection is kept in archival boxes like these on the shelf. Our store is climate controlled, which means we have an air conditioning unit running almost all of the time and a dehumidifier, which makes the air quite cold and quite dry. So as well as archival boxes, we do also have things on open display. So we have a few of these grids around the store for hanging larger portraits and barometers and things. At the moment we've got hats and shoes on display, and then we've got lots of paintings, portraits and signs and things here. Each shelf is numbered, so around the store you'll see lots of things like this. This just helps us find all of the objects using our database, and every object as well has its own number. Again, just means that we can keep trace of everything, because we have about 25,000 objects and about 7,000 photographs. And perhaps when anyone comes in, their favourite part of the store is this fab roller racking. So we can obviously move all of our shelves at once, and it just saves on space. Some of our collection has been split into mini subsets and mini collections, including these boxes behind me, these WB boxes. These are from a local family called the Whitakers. They lived in Bratton, which is a village just outside of the town, and they saved almost everything, from needlework, sewing kits, domestic crafts, music sheets, and this gives a real insight of Victorian life. So it's a really great social history collection for us and brings lots of our displays to life. Let's open a box and see what we can find. So whenever we open a box, we're faced with a mounting of tissue paper. This is acid free and keeps all of the objects safe inside. It makes sure that sort of no colour might run and nothing gets caught on other objects that share the box. Let's have a little look what we've got inside. So it looks like perhaps a box of accessories and purses. So we've got this lovely little purse here, and if we open it up, it's got a little note, and this is the pattern of how to make the purse, and you'll see at the bottom there it says it's by Edith Sarah W, which is Whitaker, so a member of the family. Lots of the objects in the Whitaker collection have been handmade, which is really lovely. It sort of makes them that little bit more special. We've got another bag here. This one this time's velvet. It's got some beading, which still lots of the beads there, and some crochet at the top. We say the Whitakers were very creative. They enjoyed music, they enjoyed the theatre, they enjoyed crafting. So it's really lovely to see all their different objects and all their different makes. So another different subcategory are these M boxes, which stand for Morrison. These came from a lady called Jean Morrison, who was a costume collector. All of these boxes are full of costume through all the different ages. Lots of the costume that Andrea showed you in the video are from the Morrison collection. It makes it really easy and quite exciting to change the costume case quite regularly because of the fab collection. So I'm just in the library now, which is obviously where we keep all of our books, but we also have our photograph archive in here, which is another subset of our collection. It's really popular with the public and with inquiries because people love old photographs. We've got about 7,000, it's quite a large collection, from agriculture, militaria, domestic, environment, sort of a snapshot of Trowbridge history, all overseen, of course, by Isaac Pitman.